All right, let's talk about halation. Halation is another one of these like aesthetic tools that goes along with like bloom and glow and even like film emulation in some ways. It's an interesting one because it's like one of those things where like people used to try very hard to get halation out of their images, but now it's something that makes images feel less digitally perfect, makes them feel like they have character, and yeah, it's something that folks are looking to reintroduce into their images. Okay, so I'm gonna be totally honest here. While I make this tool, halation gets like very esoteric and technical, and we have tried to give a ton of options to really dial in the look for what you want. So bear with me, I'm gonna try and do my best to communicate what all these things do as accurately as I can. So to not get too technical to start, what halation does is I'll show you by adjusting the strength here. It basically adds this sort of colored fringing to your highlights. And generally it's this sort of like pinky, orangey, yellowy fringing to your highlights. And so you can see when I adjust the strength of the halation, that's what it's doing. Okay, so we'll start there. Now when we go to size, so size basically says like, okay, we are applying this strength of halation to the highlights, and then size allows me to be like, I actually want to, how far out from those highlights do I want to extend it? So if I turn this up and I turn size up or down, you can see how far out we're getting from those bright highlights. Okay, when we get into hardness and some of these things, what you need to understand about halation is that it's like a gradient, right? So it's like the transition from like the whites to the reds. And so what hardness does is it kind of changes how aggressively or abruptly that change happens at the edges, okay? So it's either like a very sharp ramp or a more gradual ramp through that color range, okay? Source range, so this is kind of defining like which highlights we're grabbing in the image to apply halation to. And then destination range, like this is kind of defining the end of that gradient, right? So like source kind of just defines where that transition starts, and destination kind of defines where that ends. Global shift is the change that we're applying across the whole image. And then hue, so if we're being totally honest, hue is not something that you would like technically be able to change on halation. Halation is a very set of specific hues, but we give you the option just to give you more creative control. So if you want to like actually make it not that sort of like standard orange pink range and do something else, you can do that too. And then finally, there's like this sort of like inherent graininess to halation as well, which is more about sort of like the shape of the impact on the light, and we let you adjust that too. I know that's very technical. I'm not sure that I did the best job of describing it, but I feel like it's kind of like a you get it when you see it, and I hope that gives you enough to be able to, yeah, do some cool stuff with this tool.